They're probably counting down the days on a calendar. It's the final piece of the puzzle. It pulls everybody in. The New York Times, the PR firms, Brian Friedman must be having an absolute field day.
The Blake Lively lawsuit just imploded like a botched Botox job. And this time, it's not just messy, it's criminal. Candace Owens just flipped the whole table and exposed a Hollywood sham so elaborate, it makes Ocean's 11 look like a kindergarten puppet show.
Could this mean that Blake Lively's lawsuit basically lost all their evidence?
Caro has since wiped all her socials. Girlfriend, if you are watching and looking, it is too late. The sleuths are on it. They've pulled everything. There's Reddit feeds. You are donezo. Just come forward and say that you did bad crimes.
Turns out the lawsuit wasn't just weak, it was fictional. We're talking fake company, fake subpoena, real crime. You might want to sit down for this. Because what we're dealing with here isn't just a PR disaster. It's an actual white-collar heist in stilettos.
Regarding this Blake, Ryan, Justin case, that things may have just transformed from civil to criminal. As this is going to be wild. It's unbelievable. By the way, I want to say this could have all been avoided if they had listened to me when I told them, drop the lawsuits. Just drop. When you know you are doing nothing good, get out of doing the nothing good as soon as possible, especially when the whole world is watching and you've got mommy sleuths on the case.
Blake Lively, queen of curated Instagram aesthetics and plantation weddings, allegedly manufactured an entire shell corporation called Vansley Inc. Yes, Vansley. It sounds like a British soap character, but instead, it's a Delaware-registered LLC with 0 employees and a single mission: subpoena stealing.
There were still some elements that didn't make sense, which is when Blake and Ryan began colluding with the New York Times, we didn't understand how exactly Stephanie Jones PR was able to give these messages to the New York Times ahead of time. Somebody in the group, maybe it's Ryan Reynolds, I think it's Ryan Reynolds, says, whoa, was that legal? We have the messages and we're going to go to press and we're going to fight this in the New York Times, but like, can we get in trouble? And they all scrambled on the back end and they said, holy crap, we need to pretend that there's a real subpoena.
She used this ghost company to issue fake subpoenas and get access to private data from people who didn't even know they were being targeted. And here's the twist. Those subpoenas? They came after the data was already snatched. Let me say that louder. They stole the evidence first, then tried to invent the legal excuse later.
It just says the lawsuit lists 10 Jane Does. So they didn't list any defendants. It's just like anonymous 10 people that we're filing a lawsuit against. We are Van Zandt LLC. I mean, we're talking like toxic relationship with your employer. It doesn't matter what the reason is that someone wants to leave. They want to leave. Let them go. Goodbye. Okay? You can't have this sort of a relationship.
Stephanie James, Blake's top PR bulldog, literally cornered a former employee, Jennifer Albright, in a boardroom with a security guard and a fake lawyer and demanded her phone. Not her company phone, her personal phone. Because we have a subpoena, they said. Except they didn't. That subpoena didn't even exist until 41 days later. This isn't just shady. This is Hollywood mafia energy.
But she was under a lot of pressure and she thought, well, does this mean she's going to steal more clients from me? I made Jennifer Abel. No one leaves me and takes one of my clients. Right before she's about to leave, Steph Jones calls her in. She's got a lawyer. She's got the, chief level. I think it was the CEO there. She's got security. And she's like, we need your phone because we have a subpoena that we're complying with.
But wait, there's more. The entire lawsuit filed under this phantom company named, get this, 10 Jane Does as the defendants. No names, no details, no actual charges. Just a word salad of vague accusations designed to scare people into silence. It read like ChatGPT swallowed a legal dictionary and got
They never wanted the public to find it, okay? They never wanted the public to find it. This is, again, they're trying to work backwards to legitimize something that they likely stole. So I'm going to read you directly from this sham lawsuit to pretend that she complied with it. But this was all being done backwards. She had already taken the phone. And that's why she never wanted to show anybody this subpoena, okay? That's why she was being weird, cagey. They wouldn't answer the lawsuit because they had hid it purposely because it's a sham.
Drunk on corporate buzzwords. No merit, no proof, just PR panic and a whole lot of gall. And who was behind this? Master plan? Besides Blake and her husband Ryan Deadpool Reynolds, the key puppet masters were 2 PR firms, Vision PR, run by Blake's longtime mouthpiece Leslie Sloan.
That fabric and doors was shipped to the name, because they probably don't want to put their name on it, Molly Caro. Okay, this is the only business action. If you go through Van Zandt incorporated documents, it shows you that this was shipped to Molly Caro on behalf of Blake. So they actually found a lawyer to give them advice and to tell them how to file a fake lawsuit so that they could use that fake lawsuit to pretend that they legally took Jennifer Abel's phone.
And Jones Works, helmed by Crisis Queen Stephanie James. These two did a full tag team WWE smackdown on due process. Emails, text messages, and even shipping records from their Westchester mansion link them to the scheme. Yes, shipping records. You thought it was evidence? Nah, it was curtains and marble slabs, literally decorating their mansion under the fake name Molly Caro.
Jennifer Abel's crying. She's like, I've had this phone number since high school. What do you mean? It has all my pictures, my Facebook, everything. And she's like, nah, hand over your phone right now. It's going down like this, okay? So she hands over her phone, and there you have it. Suddenly, these text messages that are in her Jennifer Abel's personal phone end up in the New York Times.
Alias used by their PR squad to hide the company's true ownership. So why was this done? One word: control. Control over the narrative. Control over former employees. And most of all, control over the media. They handed pre-written quotes to the New York Times before the lawsuit even went public.
Reddit feeds, you are donezo. Just come forward and say that you did bad crimes.
And in the Deadline article, Brian Friedman is actually commenting on this. He kept saying that there were no real subpoena involved in this. And that's why he was questioning how Blake Lively had gotten hold of all those text messages and emails.
How? Easy. Stephanie James slipped it under the table, coordinated by a shadowy media consultant who conveniently worked at both PR firms. This wasn't just spin. This was information laundering. They were laundering fake legal claims through real headlines to silence critics and scare ex-staff into submission. Candace Owens didn't just expose the crime. She exposed the strategy. This wasn't an accident. It was a playbook.
Brian Friedman is saying here that this whole sham lawsuit is a disgrace, it's unethical, and it's an abuse of the legal system.
Got Leslie Sloan PR, Vision PR, or her PR firm, rather, Vision PR, colluding with Stephanie Jones PR. And they file this sham lawsuit because they're going, crap, we took this phone and we got these messages, but we have to make sure it's above board.
Step 1, create a fake company. Step 2, issue a fake subpoena. Step 3, steal the phone. Step 4, file a bogus lawsuit. Step 5, leak the story to the Times. Step 6, pretend you're the victim. Meanwhile, real victims, like Jennifer Albright, are left in the dust. No justice, just silence. And now the kicker. Legal experts say this may no longer be a civil case. This is criminal territory. Fraud, wiretapping, illegal surveillance. All
was Stephanie Jones complying with? What? There was no lawsuit. This went down in August, right? There was no lawsuit until December. What subpoena was she complying with? Like, hey, it's Les. And I'm like, that's weird. And then Ryan goes through these like great lengths to be like, let's not respond to PR at all or engage. These are the messages. These were sent on August 29th, all right?
because a few celebrities thought they were above the law. And when it all falls apart, they'll blame the intern. They'll say it was a clerical error. They'll issue a Notes app apology and disappear for 3 weeks. But not this time, because Candace Owens lit a match. And now the whole PR house of cards is on fire. If you're Blake Lively, you better call your lawyer. And not the fake one this time.
I think it was back in February, and I said, this is an alibi, okay? They had already done something very bad, and they were trying to work backwards in the event that their messages got subpoenaed. So that's August 29th. Let's now plug this in to the timeline so you realize like how caught Ryan and everybody is.
And he's continuing to say there's nothing normal about this. In contrast to Blake Lively's team is saying that this is really normal.
You know you're in for a wild ride when the first thing you hear is, let's just call it a misunderstanding. Ryan Reynolds in full damage control mode, turning himself into an unreliable narrator. If you want a textbook example of what not to do when your scandal breaks, take notes from Blake Lively and her entourage of PR puppets. Here's the deal. PR Strategy 101. When you're about to be caught red-handed, don't try to cover it up with a poorly timed legal move.
So he's saying to Deadline today that Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds' company Van Zandt had nothing to do with this case, and they knew it. This sham lawsuit was designed to obtain subpoena power without oversight or scrutiny.
It reads, this is in the Daily Mail, revealed Blake Lively's super shady legal tactic that set off the war with Justin Baldoni before he even had a clue.
But of course, Ryan and Blake thought they were above the law, playing their Hollywood game with a bag of tricks that would make any seasoned PR agent blush. It all started innocently enough. Well, as innocent as a carefully crafted narrative could be. August 29th. That's the day they hit the pan.
Accuses the 10 Jane Does of, quote, they have participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interests, taking actions to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense.
Button. Ryan Reynolds, probably sweating bullets, comes up with a genius plan. Let's silence the entire PR team and refuse to respond to anything. Why? Because when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, the last thing you want is a trail of crumbs leading back to you. But while Ryan was busy crafting his oops, my bad texts, Blake's influencer army was already on the move. Yep, they were spoon-feeding those stolen messages to the New York Times faster than you can say media manipulation.
They're trying to work backwards to legitimize something that they likely stole. So I'm going to read you directly from this sham lawsuit. It writes, it accuses the 10 Jane Does of, quote, they have participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interests, taking actions to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense, failing to freely communicate with plaintiff regarding matters that impact plaintiff's business and reputation, and disclosing to third parties, and failing to keep strictly confidential plaintiff's confidential and
the aim, a full-fledged smear campaign. Because why wait for a lawsuit when you can launch a media blitz ahead of time? But wait, there's more, much more. Blake's lawsuit wasn't just any lawsuit. No. This one had bad faith written all over it. And the biggest crime of all, she never mentioned the PR playbook behind the whole thing. Why? Because shocker,
or private information. This is just words. Like Samantha Katz, okay, was just typing words so that they could get a lawsuit filed that they never intended to do anything but drop because for whatever reason, maybe there's a personal relationship there. She's trying to help out Steph Jones and Ryan and Blake to legitimize this phone, which they have seized from Jennifer Abel, that they are about to go mainstream with the New York Times. And the fastest that she is able to get that lawsuit out is actually a month after they've already taken the phone. They filed this lawsuit in September, the end of September, September 27th, 2024. That then allows, so that you guys understand, that then allows them to give it, any lawyer at that point can just write a subpoena, right? So
nobody wanted the public to realize the entire thing was nothing more than a high-stakes media game. And get this, the New York Times was already drafting their article before the lawsuit was even filed. Do we call it a lawsuit anymore? Or is it just a cover-up mission? Now, let's talk subpoenas. Blake thought she was slick, trying to seize private phone data under the guise of legal procedure. Guess what? That magical subpoena didn't just fall apart. It was obliterated in court. Judge Lehman wasn't having it, calling it a violation.
The way that subpoenas work, just to remind you guys, remember I got that crazy subpoena regarding Kanye's lawsuit. Okay, so somebody filed a lawsuit against Kanye. Then their lawyer wrote a subpoena. And of course, a normal person is not going to comply with a ridiculous subpoena. So I'm not complying with that. I'm going to go, good luck getting a judge to sign off on this. You're not getting 5 years of my phone records because you had to watch The Batman with Kanye West. That's as in, I'm not complying with that, right? But Stephanie, of course, then tried to pretend that she complied with it. But this was all being done backwards. She had already taken the phone. And that's why she never wanted to show anybody this subpoena, okay? That's why she was being weird, cagey. They wouldn't answer the lawsuit because they had hid it purposely because it's a sham.
Of privacy. That's not just bad PR, it's a court order violation, and Blake was caught red-handed. With her so-called evidence crumbling, she was left with nothing but a $5,000 wardrobe and a voice memo saying, "Trust me." Yep, that's the only thing holding her lawsuit together now. A string of hope and some serious PR smoke and mirrors. Legal experts chimed in, and even ChatGPT, yep, the same AI that writes.
The only business that it was recorded as having completed was receiving 2 shipments of furniture and fabric and doors, okay? It was sent to Blake and Ryan's home in Westchester County. Now, why would they use an LLC to get Blake's? Honestly, that's kind of tax evasion, to be honest, unless they have an office which they're working from, which they could in their Westchester home, but like they're actors and entertainers, so that would be hard for me to imagine that they do. They're running it through an LLC for a tax benefit, which they're likely just doing renovations to their homes. Who knows? I'm not an IRS agent, but this is a really stupid thing to do. But they're running it through their business. They've received fabrics and doors to their Westchester home. Interestingly enough, it was shipped.
Tinder bios seem to have a better grasp on courtroom ethics than Blake. Lively did. Her entire case? A sinking ship, and that subpoena was the anchor. Without it, her case collapses under its own weight. And now, the lawyers are circling like sharks. The motion to strike is already in play, and Blake could be facing Rule 11 sanctions. In case you're not up to date on legal jargon, that's just a fancy way of saying bad faith lawsuit.
Fabric and doors was shipped to the name, because they probably don't want to put their name on it, Molly Caro. Okay, this is the only business action. If you go through Van Zandt incorporated documents, it shows you that this was shipped to Molly Caro on behalf of Blake. Now, who is Molly Caro? Very important. She is the PR officer that works for Vision PR. Let's pull up our PR thing again. Who's Vision PR? That's Leslie Sloan's PR firm. Who are Leslie Sloan's clients? Here's our chart. Leslie Sloan's clients are Blake and Ryan. So we have now just connected these 2 PR firms that were both involved in filing this sham lawsuit. Molly Caro was the person that works with this LLC, works with her clients. Leslie, like, this is an disaster for them. Molly Caro has since wiped all her socials. Girlfriend, if you are watching and looking, it is too late.
Imagine paying for a whole PR operation just to get called out in front of the court for a fraud. Not only does this look like a publicity stunt gone horribly wrong, but it could cost her everything. Fines, sanctions, and a full-blown public humiliation. But let's not kid ourselves. This is bigger than a PR disaster. It's a legal nightmare.
The sleuths are on it. They've pulled everything. There's Reddit feeds. You are donezo. Just come forward and say that you did bad crimes. Just come and be like, I did bad crimes. My name is Molly Caro, and I did bad stuff because I was high on the supply of A-listers and didn't think we'd get caught. Molly Caro also has an interesting connection to Taylor Swift, which I love because she's also involved. I'm not buying this whole, she just wants to be private and her and her boyfriend are hiding. No, Taylor Swift is smart. She knows when she's too close to the sun. Molly Caro is also listed as the producer.
Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are facing more than just a slap on the wrist here. Experts are already calling it obstruction of justice, and that could lead straight to federal court. You read that right. Not just some media drama, we're talking criminal charges. Blake's plan to use a fake lawsuit to gain subpoena power might have worked in Hollywood, but in real life, not so much. Using a shell company, Van Zandt Inc., anyone, to access someone's private data without their knowledge, that's not a PR.
Got Leslie Sloan PR, Vision PR, or her PR firm, rather, Vision PR, colluding with Stephanie Jones PR. And they file this sham lawsuit because they're going, crap, we took this phone and we got these messages, but we have to make sure it's above board. And so they got this Samantha Katz woman to file this lawsuit as quickly as humanly possible, because then they could pretend publicly that Stephanie Jones was just complying with a subpoena. No, you weren't just complying with the subpoena. You did something evil to your former employee because you're crazy.
Our move, that's a felony. Here's the poetic twist. Blake thought she could turn a personal vendetta into a nationwide PR operation. She thought her celebrity status would shield her from the consequences. But now Now she's the one on the hot seat, with no cover, no evidence, and no excuses. The media may have played along for a while, but this trail of deleted
Like the nicest person in the world. They're just like, yeah, I'm high on power and I can do this. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to collude the New York Times. We're going to file fake lawsuits. We're going to get subpoenas. We're going to get this all written out here. I mean, Stephanie Jones was really motivated by wanting to go after a former employee, which I give her a little more credit for. It's a little more sane, right? Blake was like, this can't be real press against me. Everybody loves me. A little credit there too. She's motivated by sheer stupidity. But Ryan Reynolds, evil. He's the ultimate villain in this story, okay? Because you know he's orchestrating all of this. He's buying out Liz. My agent will help you. 888 7th Avenue, fancy building. Yeah, well, my agent will help you. All you got to do, you have to know, is that we're about to file this lawsuit in 10 days because she did this on December 10th. So that means Liz Plank knew the CRD filing was coming out 10 days later. And the day before the CRD filing came out, they dropped their sham lawsuit, never to speak of it again. But now it's emerging. Why? Because Stephanie Jones is being sued.
And texts, fake. Companies and shady legal moves isn't going anywhere. If you're going to fake a lawsuit, at least make it believable. Better yet, don't fake it at all. Because now, Blake's team is scrambling to cover up their tracks, and all they're doing is making things worse. It's not just a PR mess. It's a legal disaster waiting to unfold.
She's holding on to this lie that she was complying with a subpoena. Well, factually, Stephanie, you're lying because we have the timeline. We know when you took her phone versus when that subpoena was actually signed off on. And the reason she's holding that subpoena close to her chest is because Samantha Katz, there's going to be some personal relationship there. And she's trying to protect that law firm. And I'll tell you why. Because I called Noah. Noah's my lawyer who has to field all my phone calls, right? And, same thing as he always says, that I'm not a part of this lawsuit. Yeah, we got it, Noah, but I am. So tell me what's going to happen, because this must now trip into criminality, right? You can't.
While Blake's legal team is busy papering over the mess with more official statements than actual facts, insiders are leaking faster than her fake subpoenas. Former employees, anonymous sources, even a few disillusioned influencers. Everyone's starting to talk. And what they're saying? It ain't pretty. Turns out,
steal someone's phone and then try to legitimatize it. And this is why people hate rich people. I want to be very clear, because they do theft in a different way. Like if you were just a poor person and you stole a Snickers bar at a gas station, you're getting arrested. But like Stephanie Jones has like the money and the wealth to steal, and what's going to happen? She got to go to jail. This is white collar crime. They all should go spend some time in jail, in my personal opinion. I'm not saying throw the key away. I'm just saying that they should have to spend a couple of nights in jail, have somebody bail them out, and do the walk of shame, because it's theft. It's just white collar theft.
This wasn't just a slip up. This was a full-blown operation, complete with fake legal counsel, falsified documents, and back-channel media deals. And the worst part? There's digital proof. Emails, voice memos, Slack messages with lines like, just make it look official enough to pass. That's not damage control. That's intent, enter Jennifer Albright again. Yes, the same one whose phone was ambushed. She's not the only one. 2 more whistleblowers have now come forward, claiming they were pressured to delete files, scrub servers, and even sign NDAs under threat of legal action.
I'm flying in the COO of the company theft from New York, and I have a security guard, and I have a lawyer next to me, and I'm forcing you to sign these documents and hand me your phone because I'm lying to you and saying that I'm complying with the subpoena kind of theft. And that makes me sick. And this is why people hate rich people. It's just too much. And all of this because of your ego, which is even crazier. At least maybe if somebody stole a Snicker bar because they were hungry, you're just a crazy, insane, deranged, wealthy person that's high on power. Anyway, so I call Noah and I ask him, what's going to happen? Because some heads have to roll. And the first thing he said was because he recognized a law firm in New York. And he's like, this is a very big law firm. Major people are talking about this is stupid. Like I said, moronic. Samantha.
Some of them described the atmosphere at Vansley Inc. as cultish and terrifying. One even said, it felt like working for Scientology, but make it Vogue. And now the feds are sniffing around. Congressional interest has been piqued, especially since some of the illegally obtained data reportedly involves political figures and journalists. That's right, this isn't just a celebrity scandal anymore. It's a potential breach of federal privacy laws. Legal analysts are already drawing comparisons to infamous cases like Theranos and the Trump Organization. And if Blake's legal team thought they were playing checkers, the Department of Justice is playing chess. Here's the bottom.
And federal Rule 11 also outlines what those specific requirements are for signings, pleadings, and they can impose sanctions if a lawyer engages in bad conduct or bad faith. And an attorney can even lose their law license. So this, like I said, this is why they're hiding it. The courts take it extremely seriously because they want to deter this sort of conduct out of the courtroom. And so what he's saying is New York has a similar rule, which is known as Part 130, where the court can issue sanctions for attorneys or parties to frivolous conduct. And that's what they're being so hush-hush about. Regarding Jennifer Abel, well, Jennifer Abel, I'll tell you what she's able to do. She can now go the criminal route if she'd like to. She effectively had her phone stolen by her employer under the guise of legitimacy in a state that does not play around with that, by the way. California has some very strong laws on the books for consumer privacy that protects employees. Your employer can't just go through your phone and take things because they want to. And I'm hearing that she's considering going that legal route, and I hope she does. I just need somebody to go to prison. I really do.
Line, what started as a personal vendetta turned legal gambit has now become a potential RICO investigation. If prosecutors can prove that Vansley Inc. was used as a front for coordinated fraud, coercion, and digital intrusion, we're talking criminal conspiracy charges. Felony level. And Ryan Reynolds? He might have tried to stay cute and quiet in the background, but silence is complicity. If he so much as signed off on a single memo, he could be dragged into this mess too. So what's next? Well, Blake better hope her next red carpet isn't outside a courthouse.
And here's what I'll say in conclusion. If everyone had settled when I told them to, which just couldn't happen because everyone here involved is a narcissist, no one would be in this predicament, but no one ever listens to me. Also, I got to tell you guys really quickly before we get into some sponsors, somebody also pointed out to me like how long Ryan's been a psycho. Remember I read you that email that came in from his teacher who said like he had very serious issues when he was young and talked about how he got kicked out of this drama class and he would like fake cry and do all of these deranged things. Well, somebody dug up that Ryan also set his school on fire and bragged about it years later because he was in the high of everyone thinks Ryan is great and none of us kind of noticed he was a psychopath. And this is
But it's not just about who goes down, it's about who flips first. Word inside the industry is that at least one key player from Blake's inner circle is already negotiating a deal. Immunity in exchange for testimony. Someone close enough to know everything. Someone who sat in those meetings. Someone with receipts. The fear isn't just what they'll say. It's what they'll show, screenshots, audio recordings, possibly even footage from internal meetings that were never supposed to see daylight. Because in Hollywood, where everyone's always filming something, even a couple...
And I should be concerned, but I'm not because I just see right through him. I think all of these people are absolute losers. That's what I'll say about that. Anyways, you guys, let's get into some advertisers. I absolutely love Preborn. We live in a culture that tells women that motherhood is a burden, that choosing life is the end of their freedom, and that could not be more of a lie. Take it from me, okay? I'm perma-pregnant. Preborn is the nation's largest pro-life organization that stands for truth. They believe that women deserve better than abortion, and they're proving it every single day through free ultrasounds and compassionate care for up to 2 years after the baby is born. Preborn is helping women to see their strength, their value, their future, because when a woman sees her baby on the ultrasound that first time, she's twice as likely to choose life, not because someone forced her to, but because she can just see the truth for herself. You hear the heartbeat.
Cover-Up has a blooper reel, and now the press is circling like vultures. Not the lifestyle blogs and celebrity fluff outlets. No, we're talking The Washington Post, Reuters. Even 60 Minutes is allegedly prepping a segment. They're not asking about Blake's next role. They're asking about her role in potential federal crimes. Meanwhile, legal experts are raising a chilling possibility that Blake's use of a fake company to obtain private data under false pretenses could open the door to wire fraud and obstruction of justice charges. That's 20 years per count. And
it's about empowering women to make informed decisions and showing them that they're not going to be alone. If you'd like to give this amazing organization, you just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or you can donate securely at preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. Also, if you are just growing in size like me, or just someone who values sleep in general, then you have to hear about Cozy Earth. It's another one of my favorite companies. I recently started using Cozy Earth's sheets, and I have never slept better. You definitely want to make sure that you're getting good rest, comfortable nights of sleep at nighttime when you are 9 months pregnant. These sheets are incredible. It's like sleeping on a cloud. They're made from super soft, breathable bamboo fabric that somehow keeps me cool at night when I'm running hot and warm.
Ryan, he's not trending for a Deadpool sequel anymore. He's trending because lawyers are combing through archived emails from Aviation Gin and Wrexham FC, looking for overlaps. Any mention of Vansley Inc., any hint he was involved, even tangentially, could spell disaster. This is no longer just about scandal. It's about survival. Because once the DOJ enters the frame, it's not about winning the public back. It's about staying out of prison. And Blake? She may have written the script for this drama, but she forgot one thing. The feds don't need a rewrite. They just need a warrant. Early morning. Unmarked vans. Federal agents with sealed documents walked right past the iron gates of Blake and Ryan's 30 million Manhattan brownstone. Neighbors thought it was a movie shoot until they saw the badges. This wasn't a film set. This was a raid. Devices were seized, laptops, hard drives, even smart home systems.
It's not just about bedding with Cozy Earth. They also have pajamas. They feel buttery soft. They don't cling if you're overheating. It's the kind of luxury that you don't know that you need, especially now. Plus, Cozy Earth is all about quality. You get a 10-year warranty and a 100-night sleep trial. So if you don't fall in love, which you are going to, don't worry, you can send them right back. Make sleep a priority right now. Visit CozyEarth.com and use my exclusive code Candace, and you'll get 40% off Cozy Earth's best-selling sheets, towels, pajamas, and more. Again, that's CozyEarth.com, code Candace, and if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you tell them that you heard about it right here on this show. All right. A sede vacante. Like I told you guys, that is Latin. The seat is vacant. What are we speaking about? Obviously, unless you have been under a rock, you have heard the news that Pope Francis has passed away. And the timing of this, it being Easter Monday. And obviously, there are a lot of reactions all over the internet. I will give you the facts. He had died at the age of 88 years old. Obviously, we knew Pope Francis was sick.
Because if you're hiding something in 2025, odds are your fridge knows about it. Ryan was reportedly in London when it happened. Blake? Home, in silk pajamas and a panic that no stylist could iron out. She didn't post on Instagram that day. In fact, she hasn't posted since. Behind closed doors, her crisis team kicked into overdrive, spinning narratives, ghostwriting apologies, and frantically calling in favors from legacy media friends.
He was history's first Latin American pope. He died just this morning. The bells tolled at the churches from his native Argentina. That's where he was from, to the Philippines, all across Rome. And it was reported that he passed away at 7:35 a.m. Now, like I said, there have been a lot of emotions about this, a lot of people that are commenting. And here's the reality. Here's what I was told. I feel ill-equipped to speak on the matter. And there are a lot of opinions, obviously more liberal to conservative opinions, people who were happy about the things that he did, people who were disappointed. When I was studying to become a Catholic and I had these two cantankerous English priests that were lecturing me all the time, one of the things that they said was, when it comes to the Catholic family, there must always be an undercurrent of reverence. Obviously, this is the Pope that we're speaking about. And so you have to make sure that you're speaking about things respectfully. And I understood that as, in your family, sometimes when you're venting about someone like your sister, your cousin.
But here's the problem. You can't PR your way out of a federal investigation. Sources close to the case say that the DOJ is building a timeline, hour by hour, of every move Vansley Inc. made, from the day it was registered to the moment the first fake subpoena was drafted. Every IP address, every encrypted message, every anonymous Dropbox link.
My sister's this driving me crazy. But then, like, if your friends join in on chorus and they're like, your sister is this, you're like, don't talk about my sister like that, I think it's like one of those things where people should understand that the Pope, this is the Pope that we're speaking about, and it's a position that should be respected. And we look towards the future, pray for him, we pray for his soul, obviously. And there have been just so many tremendous things, by the way, that have been going on this year. And as we come out of the Lent season of penance and he is risen, I just cannot remark enough how much the church is growing, the Catholic Church is growing. And I'm talking about all across Europe. There seems to be this almost reactionary movement that's happening. And it's being reported in the mainstream media everywhere that people are being drawn specifically to the Latin liturgy, which is something, that he scaled back significantly while he was the Pope. And yet the opposite thing is happening where people are being drawn toward the Latin Church. And no sooner did I say this on Twitter than New York Post, or on X, whatever it's called, than the New York Post did an entire piece speaking about just
Because the government has time and subpoenas, real ones. And they've got something else too. Witnesses. One by one, Blake's former employees are lining up, not to protect her, but to protect themselves. Immunity deals are being offered like appetizers at a Vanity Fair party. Everyone's suddenly remembering emails, Slack messages, secret meetings over overpriced matcha, and when the feds show up with your name on a witness list, loyalty folds fast.
Seems to be moving toward a more traditional lifestyle, whether you're talking about their interests in wanting to get married younger, very conscious about what they're eating, interested in farming, the fact that Ballerina Farm is such a big account on Instagram, and really what she's selling is a traditional lifestyle. The Gen Zers are definitely moving away, and to have so many new converts is a blessing. And to see that direction and what's contributing to that, I think, and this is again my opinion, feel free to dismiss it, is that we are realizing on a spiritual level that we need authority. And I think the 60s generation was all about like, let's just do whatever. My granddad always said the hippies ruined everything. And I think the ground was fertile when you want less structure. Or I guess what one person said to me, and it may have been my priest that I'm telling you about, my cantankerous English priest, who said, Protestantism was the original protest, right? It was the original protest away from authority. You can agree with that, you cannot agree with that. I'd be interested to hear, because I know that so many Protestants listen to this. But I thought it was quite interesting to just kind of think about that, to think through that. And I was a Protestant, obviously, when I was hearing these words. And I thought, I never really thought about that. I never really thought about the word protest in that. They're probably counting down the days on a calendar. It's the final piece of the puzzle. It pulls everybody in. The New York Times, the PR firms, Brian Friedman must be having an absolute field day.
The Blake Lively lawsuit just imploded like a botched Botox job. And this time, it's not just messy, it's criminal. Candace Owens just flipped the whole table and exposed a Hollywood sham so elaborate, it makes Ocean's 11 look like a kindergarten puppet show.
Could this mean that Blake Lively's lawsuit basically lost all their evidence?
Lee Caro has since wiped all her socials. Girlfriend, if you are watching and looking, it is too late. The sleuths are on it. They've pulled everything. There's Reddit feeds. You are donezo. Just come forward and say that you did bad crimes.
Turns out the lawsuit wasn't just weak, it was fictional. We're talking fake company, fake subpoena, real crime. You might want to sit down for this. Because what we're dealing with here isn't just a PR disaster. It's an actual white-collar heist in stilettos.
Regarding this Blake Ryan Justin case, that things may have just transformed from civil to criminal. As this is going to be wild. It's unbelievable. By the way, I want to say this could have all been avoided if they had listened to me when I told them, drop the lawsuits. Just drop. When you know you are doing nothing good, get out of doing the nothing good as soon as possible, especially when the whole world is watching and you've got mommy sleuths on the case.
Blake Lively, queen of curated Instagram aesthetics and plantation weddings, allegedly manufactured an entire shell corporation called Vansley Inc. Yes, Vansley. It sounds like a British soap character, but instead, it's a Delaware-registered LLC with 0 employees and a single mission: subpoena stealing.
There were still some elements that didn't make sense, which is when Blake and Ryan began colluding with the New York Times, we didn't understand how exactly Stephanie Jones PR was able to give these messages to the New York Times ahead of time. Somebody in the group, maybe it's Ryan Reynolds, I think it's Ryan Reynolds, says, whoa, was that legal? We have the messages and we're going to go to press and we're going to fight this in the New York Times, but can we get in trouble? And they all scrambled on the back end and they said, holy crap, we need to pretend that there's a real subpoena.